she hands me the phone. It's like, Rainey, this is the Hillary Duff fan club. Like, we'd like to tell you you won. Like, you won the national Hillary Duff contest, lookalike contest. And I was like, of course I did.
That's Rainey Lancaster Hoag. I'm Cara Duffy, and this is the Powerful Ladies Podcast. I'm really excited you're here this morning. It has been such a treat to meet you as a client. And the more that we meet and talk and get to hang out, the more fascinating you are, because like we're peeling back different layers and getting to know each other differently. And whenever I work with somebody to bring a brand to life, I get to know so many things about like who they are and what makes them tick, because we focus so much on the why, like why this matters to you. So before I jump in with all my questions, I have so many for you today. Let's tell everyone who you are, where you are, and what you're up to.
Yeah. Thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to be here. I am Rainey Lancaster Hoag. I am currently in Los Angeles, California based. I've lived in California for about 8 years now, ever since I graduated undergrad, but originally born and raised in Tallahassee, Florida, on the Florida-Georgia border in the South. But yeah, new to Los Angeles. So moved here in August. I was in San Francisco before then, but loving it.
How has it been going from San Francisco to LA?
I personally love it. I mean, I think San Francisco is great. Obviously, I spent so much time there. I met my husband there essentially, had so many friends and great experiences there. It's such a hub for technology and just, a melting pot in itself. But I am loving LA. I think I feel more creative than ever here. And obviously love the weather, despite the rain that we've had for about 4 months, which is apparently unusual here.
Yes.
But growing up in Florida, I love the sunshine. I love just having a bit more space and, just meeting new people, and just getting a new community. It's been really fun. It feels like I'm going on girl dates again for like the first time in years, which has been really, really great.
Well, I think that's something that people get so hard on themselves about, because making new friends as an adult seems to become harder and harder. So I want to pause for a second and talk about girl dates, because I think this matters. Yeah. How do you make girl dates happen? Are you walking up to people in random places being like, hi, we should be friends? Like, how is this happening?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I think, moving here, I maybe have one, like what you would consider a best girlfriend here, and a lot of, friends of friends or acquaintances. And so I really think it's just putting yourself out there, whether you're, say at a friend's dinner party, seated next to someone, just putting yourself out there and asking them, hey, getting their information. Just it's like networking, in a way, but flirting with girls. And I think it's almost easier to make friends, stronger friendships at this age, because I feel like, where I'm at and where a lot of the women that I'm surrounded with are at now, everyone's really confident in who they are at this age. You're not I'm 29 for reference, about to be 30 in a month. So, but I think in your early 20s, like you're kind of like figuring out who you are, right? And when I moved to San Francisco, that was me. I didn't totally know who I was. You're insecure in that and making friends. And I think now it's like, what you like, what you want, generally across the board. And, just making those connections with other like-minded women, and just putting yourself out there and setting the date, being intentional, follow up. So it's been fun. It's been, new, but very fun. And I've made some great girlfriends so far here, really inspiring women.
Well, and we met because you have had this idea in your head for a long time of something that you want to create. So let's tell everyone about this idea and what it is, and where it came from.
Yeah. So definitely still work in progress. But I currently work in entertainment and marketing, which we can get into in a second. But I have always been drawn to fashion and home and lifestyle. Grew up with a very Southern environment and mother and, a very traditional household, making the beauty out of everyday moments, whether it's, dressing up just to make yourself feel great, whether it's making a tablescape, for a small dinner party, or just getting flowers from the farmer's market on a random day to make your home feel a bit more inviting and beautiful. And, not even just doing it for other people, but doing it for
Mhm.
yourself. And so I'm really trying to create a destination, and eventually a marketplace that can be a one-stop shop for all of that. So, what you would wear on these moments, what you would need to decorate your home in these moments, and just advice for that kind of life well lived, and making, the everyday moments beautiful.
Why is making the everyday moment beautiful important to you?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it really comes from my upbringing and my mom. My mom just created such a wonderful space for us growing up, and not even that, like, it's like nice things or anything. It's just like it exudes happiness sometimes when you're creating something beautiful like that, whether it's a tablescape or florals or something, or even just like candles and stuff. It's hard to describe that feeling, but again, it's not even just like checking a box to, like, oh, I'm a good hostess, or oh, I'm doing this. It's doing it, to make other people feel welcome, and exude that happiness. So
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
No, to me, it totally does.
Yeah.
We can choose things to be however they show up, or we
Hmm.
can choose to make things as beautiful and exciting as possible. And, you know, having a background in some like urban anthropology and like how people choose to lay out cities and towns, there's such a
Hmm.
distinct difference between how a well-planned, cared about town or city feels
Yeah.
and the impact it makes, like the confidence people have, how much money they're making, the level of community interaction versus spaces that aren't
Hmm.
beautiful or cared about. It honestly makes me so mad about LA because it could be the most beautiful city in the world if it wanted to.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I don't know why we haven't decided to really invest in making it stunning because
Yeah.
it could be. And that's
Yeah.
everyone of all places on an individual level, individual people's homes, how they present themselves. Like we know what amazing visuals can look like here. So why aren't we
Hmm.
putting it into the entire community?
Yeah, and everyone has a different definition of beautiful too, and that's the
Mhm.
beauty of it. Like everyone, has their own distinct design style and aesthetic, and what they like, what they don't like, and that's so fun for me, exploring those different aesthetics and putting unexpected things, whether it's like unexpected, china with votives or florals and stuff. And I love going over to other people's homes too and seeing, their definition of beautiful and how they bring that to life too. It just brings me a lot of joy personally.
Well, you're a very busy woman. You have an important job with important people. Let's tell everyone quickly what you're doing so they can get some scope of how important and busy you actually are.
Yeah, important. We'll see, but busy, yes. I, after I graduated Duke University in 2015, I moved out to San Francisco and started full time at Apple. And I have been there ever since, almost 8 years now, which is crazy to say. Fully on the services side, I've always been in marketing for Apple services, starting out on Apple Music. So I started the summer that we launched Apple Music full time, actually. We got into the streaming wars, which was very fun, just a wild time. It felt like being in a startup at a big company in like the best way. And so I worked with Apple Music for about 5.5 years, doing partnership marketing, a lot of experiential marketing. And then I switched over recently to the Apple TV Plus side. So I work in marketing on our series and films, so helping bring those to life.
And are there any series or films that are out now that you're proud to have worked on?
Yeah, I think the most recent example would be Shrinking, starring Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. Probably just one of the most fantastic series to date, personally, that I love so much. It's such a inspiring series too. Have you seen it yet?
I have actually. So
Yeah.
my
Okay,
coach, we were
good.
having a session and we were talking about how it's so easy to get attached to our clients and to want to push their businesses forward and like just
hmm
like be like, give it to me, just give it to me, I'll handle it. And we
Yeah.
were talking about that and she's like, have you seen Shrinking yet? And I was like, no. She's like, so when you're so mad at a client because they're not doing what they could, and when you just want to help them so badly, go watch it, you'll get it, even though they're therapists. And sure enough, I think I binge watched the entire thing in like a weekend
hmm
because it was so relatable. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
why I could never be a therapist because I
And
couldn't, I can't honor those boundaries of like, no, we're just going to do whatever it takes to make this happen.
And I just feel like the style of the show and the themes, it's from the same creators as Ted Lasso, which obviously is such a hit and a cult favorite. But Shrinking, it's a comedy, but it's an emotional comedy. It tackles the subjects that we all deal with every day, like grief. Personally, I lost my older brother a few years ago, and so it really just hit hard to see the way that families evolve and people can grow, and like grief will always be there, but you can come out of it and evolve in that sense. So and I just love the team working on the show. I mean, I'm obsessed with my coworkers at Apple. It's what's kept me there all these years, obviously. But the team that actually brought the show to life, and Bill Lawrence and Jason Segel and so forth, and Brett Goldstein, it's just such a talented group of people.
Well, I think Jason Segel and Brett Goldstein, they're just on my list of people that I want to like have a coffee with. Like, I just want to be
Same.
friends with them because I'm like,
Yeah.
I think we'd be friends. I like them. They're
Yeah.
so optimistic, but real. They just make things happen. And they seem to be people who like to move things out of the way for other people to look amazing as well. And so I
Yeah.
feel a kinship with the two of them in particular, being like, what would happen if we got together? Like, what else could we make happen? And
Yeah.
I'm just so committed to having people with that perspective and mindset in my space.
hmm
I don't remember who I was talking to recently, but she just kind of declared, I'm not coming to the party unless it's people who are like hanging out at my vibe. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like it
No,
changes things so much.
it does.
So
It does.
it
Yeah.
makes
I
me feel
mean,
good that they're 1 degree away. Should I need to make that lunch happen? I'll be like, so Rainy. I was
No, I
thinking.
think I think one degree is maybe an overstatement for sure. But yes, huge fangirl of them, and just working on something they touched is an honor for sure.
Yeah. I was one of the questions I was going to ask you is, being almost 30 is still very young to be as accomplished as you are, and not just accomplished in your career at Apple, but also gaining recognition as the content creator that you are yourself and the brand partnerships you're creating,
Thank
and
you.
to know that you are ready to finally answer the whispers that have been building in your head of like, do the business, do the business. It's still young. And I don't think that
Totally.
age
Oh,
has
yeah.
anything to do with like when you're ready or successful, because people start things at 80, they start things at 15, like who knows.
hmm
um but how hearing about having lost your brother, like did that shift changing your perspective on how you use your time and how you go after things? Like was it an
For sure.
amplifier? Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think um, it's such a tough thing to lose someone very close to you, and he was such a vibrant soul, and he was also in entertainment. He was in the filmmaking business too, and he was such an inspiration, and always did what he wanted, and just like such a fun person, and lived life at its biggest.
Mhm.
So I think for sure losing someone, and someone who had a lot more life to give, yeah, that changes things for you and puts it in
Mhm.
perspective that life is short. we
Yeah.
don't we don't have much time, and it's like, we should be doing the things that we are passionate about, and doing all of them. You don't
Mhm.
just have to have one singular day job. Like I love my job at Apple, but I also am really loving tapping into some of my other passions, like, fashion and home and styling and,
Mhm.
just curating things for people. It's really fun. It's something I've always done as a hobby, I think, and done with my family. But now it's fun to be able to collaborate with other brands and female founders, and obviously working with you on everything. So yeah, it's been great to finally tap into that whisper and voice, as you say, and
Mhm.
start doing a little bit more in that space.
Well, and I also love that so much of your brand is based off of really just wanting to share what's brought you so much joy with other people.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think so often people will get sucked into thinking that they should be an entrepreneur, should have their own business because they want to make money.
Yeah.
And one of my kind of metrics for who gets past the velvet rope to hang out for coaching is
Oh,
who's doing
I
it.
got past the
You
velvet
got
rope.
past.
Yeah.
You didn't even know you were VIP.
Wow.
Um, but like one of the qualifications is why are you doing it? Like, what's the motivation? Because if it's truly about sharing something that you see and comes naturally to you and you want to gift to other people, like that is it's a different place from which all other things will become easier.
Hmm.
It's much harder, I think, to be like, I own car washes because they make money. And you're like, great.
Yeah.
But you think about this all the time. Like it's
Hmm.
almost turning what is automatically consuming to you into how you get to communicate and share with the world at this point.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, you know, the greatest work and products come from doing something that you love. So it's like, you know, take the money aside, right? If you're passionate about something and you're something that's, you're waking up and feeling creative and wanting to work and wanting to put pen to paper to things, like that's when the magic happens, right? It
Yeah.
shouldn't be just, for those other reasons, as you say.
Yeah. So you are building the Rainey Lancaster brand.
Yep.
You're currently in the process of expanding your brand partnerships. You're building out your brand new website. All of it
Hmm.
should be launching around when this goes live. Um,
Yeah.
how does it
Let's hope.
feel to see your vision being put to screen or paper and being built out?
you know, it's just been great to even put time and work on this, right? Like um I think I'm finding my personal like successes in short-term goals, right? Versus long-term. And I think that's something we've talked about a lot. It's like you have to set these short-term goals for yourself, whether it's, these individual partnerships or create, doing branding for something or creating a newsletter, creating a site and so forth. Like I do have a lot of big visions and dreams, but um achieving those kind of short-term goals have been what's best for me mentally and what's been pushing me forward. And it's been great, and it's been so exciting to see little things come to life. I'm really excited to see it kind of all come together in full, but I'm still very, very new at this too, right? Like it's like
Yeah.
I'm just having fun. I'm doing what feels natural to me. I'm in awe of so many female creators, tastemakers, curators, founders, entrepreneurs out there. I'm learning every single day from each and every one of them. Some of them friends, some of them, just follows on Instagram or
Yeah.
from afar. So again, I am no expert in the space yet. Like I'm just trying to, follow my own passion and see where that leads me.
So for people who are listening who are working a high profile job or a job that takes a lot of their time as yours
Hmm.
does,
Hmm.
how can they balance starting something on the side that brings them joy while still maintaining all their responsibilities at their day job?
That's such a great question because you can't sacrifice, right? You can't sacrifice your day job. especially if it's one that's very time consuming and a lot's on the line, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it's been just, late nights once I'm finished with, my day job and so forth, using at least like an hour or two every night to put pen to paper, to do research, to, listen to podcasts, explore just other relevant examples and, keep building that inspiration. And additionally, obviously weekends, you just have to take the time. And, if it is content creation, I think that's a tricky one, because it's like, how do you feel successful at the end of the day if, say, you've worked a 10-hour job during the day but you've posted nothing, or you've done nothing on the content creation side? And I think it's really tricky, and it can bring you down sometimes, and you can get into this mental spiral of like, oh, I'm not doing enough here, I'm not doing enough there, sacrificing one or the other. So I think give yourself leniency too, because it's never an easy calculation of like the split time that you put into either one, but definitely stick with your routine. Maybe dedicate a couple hours like on a singular day every week or on a Sunday afternoon, and really start just consistently keeping up with that, and then you'll see results.
Well, and you also have to balance, I'm sure, you're wanting to spend time with your husband and his schedule. You
Yeah.
guys travel a lot. So if
Yes.
I think you're just such a great example of, if you really want to create something badly enough, you will find the time. Because I think every
Yeah.
time we talk, you just got back from somewhere else.
Yeah, we are deep in wedding season right now, which is so great. I mean, we're seeing so many of our best friends, marry the loves of their lives, and such great, unique places. Unfortunately, a lot of them are East Coast for us, so it's a lot of travel. We have a lot of New York travel. We're actually going to Mallorca, Spain in a couple weeks, which I've never been, so I'm so excited. So it's been great. It's been great, but exhausting in a lot of ways. But we got married last year, and so it was a lot of people doing the same for us. So we're excited to show up for them as they did for us.
Is your husband from the East Coast as well?
No, he's actually from the Bay Area too. Yeah, so he's California. California, married a Southerner. I don't know what he was thinking. But no, yeah, he's from Bay Area, born and raised. So moving to LA, I feel like was a big move, because I feel like Northern California has a view of Southern California, which I'm learning, but he's loving it. I think all those, you know, myths from Northern California about Southern California have been shattered.
Love that. Did
Mm.
you move for your job, his job, another reason?
Um, Primarily my job for TV Plus. Yeah. So I switched over to TV Plus during the pandemic, when everyone was remote. And, it was with the understanding that when those, regulations were lifted and we went back to the office, that I would be in the LA office. And we had been in San Francisco for so long. The city changed a lot. We had a lot of friends that moved out too. So I think it was just time for us to try something new. So my job was the catalyst for that. And his job is fully remote, luckily. So, we had the flexibility to
Yeah.
move. But yeah, we're loving it.
I think it's a new interesting thing that partnerships are navigating today, of the roles being so up in the air about who does what. Like, all the traditions have kind of gone out the window about who earns more money than the other person. Do we
Hmm.
move for your job, his job, or her job? Or
Hmm.
like, how we're balancing everyday life in partnerships together has evolved so much, I think, from our parents' generation and of course our grandparents' generation.
Yeah.
For you guys, has it been a natural flow to figure out what that balance looks like, or have there been interesting conversations about what your roles are for your unique relationship?
That's a good question. I mean, I don't think any of the traditional like gender roles like come into play with us. We're both very hardworking people. We both have full-time jobs. We're dual income household. I've never not felt supported by him. He is so supportive of me and, my journey in my career at Apple, my new foray into this, fashion and lifestyle space too. He has been nothing but supportive of, everything that's to come for me. So it's been great. And it's something I hope everyone finds in their relationship is that, type of partnership that isn't like an either or, like one of us can be the powerful one or one of us can do this or, because I'm sure it shifts naturally sometimes, like each other's successes and wins. There's going to be periods where it's one or the other, but throughout that, we're always supporting each other, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ask everyone what they think about the words powerful and ladies. Are those definitions different when the words are separate, and does it change when they're next to each other?
Uh, I think it absolutely changes when they are separate and together, which is maybe not a great thing. I think let's start with separate. So for me, lady, I think like lady in general, just being from the South, like I immediately jump to ladylike, which means, polite, traditional, like well dressed, well mannered, soft spoken, nice, which could be considered the opposite of like powerful on its own. When to me, powerful means someone who's really strong in their convictions and, you know, the loudest in the room sometimes, but not just to be the loudest in the room, really, inspiring others and influencing others. And I think when you put it together, it changes it and it, redefines like what lady means on its own, right? It means, a strong woman who not only stands up for herself, but what she believes in, isn't afraid to speak her mind, her heart, her opinions, consistent in her personal values and the causes that she champions. So knowing what's, makes her happy and isn't afraid to chase that. So, yeah.
You've had a lot of different experiences between, being inspired by your mother growing up and other powerful ladies of the South. You've had experience at a very dynamic, internationally recognized company of Apple. You have made all these other relationships with on your friend dates, with the brand partnerships. Like you're interacting with a lot of people in a lot of different spaces. When you look at your journey so far, are there core moments of someone reaching out and mentoring you or giving you a tip that has changed how you thought about yourself and your power that you weren't expecting?
Hmm. That's a great question. I mean, I have been lucky enough to be surrounded by so many strong, powerful, influential women in my life. Obviously, my mother, she is my best friend and just, such an inspiration for me. My parents got divorced when I was at a really young age, and she was a single mom for a while, and taking care of me and my older brothers, and just thinking back to that time, I was very young, but she was just so strong. And I feel like always such a constant inspiration for me in my life. And, um, my parents got remarried and I've had stepsisters and then my brothers have been married and I've had sister-in-laws who have just been so inspirational. My sister-in-law, Emily, is a female entrepreneur and founder herself. She co-founded the interior design startup, The Havenly, and then went on to found her own um, children's nursery and furniture company, Nurture Ann. And she's always just given me the advice to, follow my passion. And it's like, don't care do not care what other people think. Like if you think it's a good idea, if you, are passionate about it, it will come to life. And, maybe it won't be successful at times, but you'll know that you're doing what you love. And so she's been great. And outside of family, I actually was a competitive dancer growing up. So I've had many dance teachers and my studio owner and my ballet teacher growing up. And I think sometimes I think back to those individuals and those women that I spent so much time with that really molded me into the person I am today. Poised yet dedicated and, consistent and disciplined. Is that, I guess, ballet, you think of discipline. Yeah. But yeah, it's, the list can go on and on of the different,
Mm.
women in my life that have inspired me.
The topic came up over the weekend about who we dress for. I went to a birthday party in LA with my sister, celebrity group, and I wore a dress. My sister's like, "That looks a little bit extra." I'm like, "Then we're wearing it." And
I hate that. I hate that word extra. It's like,
Mhm.
it should just be normal. It's you. It's a self-expression. But anyways, go.
Well, and it's interesting because when after going to Burning Man, I've gone once. A lot of my friends go every year. But having gone and seeing people just wear random combinations of things that they just thought were fun that day, it's like there's a lot of the opinion of like the sexiness of like festivals and things now.
Hmm.
But most people were just dressing the way that 6-year-old them would have dressed if that's how they were still allowed to dress. You're like, yeah, I'm going to wear this like fur vest with these sparkly leggings. And
Yeah.
it was just whatever brought you joy it was like
Yeah.
joy and practicality combined is what people were showing up in, either because it's too hot or it's cold or it just feels fun. And that's one of the things that I've brought home a little bit was why are we dressing anything other than joy? And because it makes us happy. Like, why couldn't you wear a tutu all day if you wanted to? Like,
Yeah.
it probably depends on the environment. We can choose smartly so we can be as powerful as we want to in different spaces. But who do you dress for and how do you make your choices each day?
Oh, that's a great question. You know, where I'm at right now, I dress for myself. I really, and luckily, my husband likes the way I dress. But I really dress for myself. And, we've talked about this. You can either find me in a dress, like I'm a huge dress enthusiast, like self-proclaimed dress enthusiast. My entire closet is dresses and I have drawers of flannel pajamas. So those are my two wheelhouses. Like I love midi dresses, maxi dresses. Like I just love the way they make me feel. I love, you know, that's just like my form of self-expression. I really
Mhm.
love dresses. And yeah, when I was little, I had this red dress in kindergarten or first grade, and I refused to take it off. Like every single day, I would just ask my mom to wear the red dress until finally, like, I think people started like raising their eyebrows. They're like, does she not have any other clothes? And my mom was like, I think we need to retire the red dress. And it was just like such a terrible time, like when I had to stop wearing the red dress every single day. So I always think back to that, and it's like, wear the red dress, like wear whatever you want and do what makes you happy. Don't dress for other people. I think I dress for other women too. Like
Mhm.
I love when my friends and I get dressed up. I love, even on Instagram or something, if someone sends me a message and it's like, I love this, like, where'd you get that? Or I have this coming up, what would you wear? Where would you buy this? It's like, that brings me so much joy that someone even cares to hear my opinion on that, because I love helping other people find their form of
Mhm.
self-expression. But yeah, I also love lately, like the Taylor Swift Eras tour. Like I feel like is kind of an example of Burning Man and what you're saying. Like everyone's just like dressing like their 8-year-old selves or wearing, sparkles or just everything. Hopefully I'm gonna go. I'm like, I would love that. That'd be great for me. But yeah, I think just dressing for myself and what makes me feel good, what makes me feel confident and comfortable. And that's what everyone should strive for, right?
I think so. I do think that women, we dress for ourselves, but we're always dressing for usually other women before men
Hmm.
because the other women will like get it. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
a well-dressed woman acknowledges you for what you're wearing, it's the best compliment.
Oh,
Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Not
Uh,
to say it doesn't matter what other people think, because like
no.
sometimes it doesn't, but it does, like it makes you feel good, right? But 4-year-old Rainey in the red dress really did not care or give a shit about what anyone thought, that I was wearing the same dress every single day.
It was your uniform. It was perfect.
It was. It was.
I love going back to our 8-year-old selves, and I'm glad that you brought that up. It's to me, it's the pivotal moment when we still have full access to that freedom and our creativity and our imagination. And yet we also have access to and can function in the adult world.
Mm-hmm.
We know like rules and some boundaries. We know how to ask for what we want. It's like this perfect age, like, and maybe it's even like the 7 to 10-ish range.
Yeah.
But I always want to go back to 8-year-old me because I'm having a good day if 8-year-old me is proud.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like for you to have an 8-year-old proud day?
So I think back actually to a specific story time. So when this was when I was around 9, actually. It was like 2002, 2003 era. I was obsessed with Hillary Duff. Like this was Lizzie McGuire
Yeah.
era, her Metamorphosis CD. I was in the fan club obsessed, and there was a Hillary Duff national lookalike contest. So it was challenging young women to, dress like Hillary Duff, like express yourself, take photos, submit them to the fan club, and you could enter and win tickets to any Hillary Duff concert in the nation and get to spend the day backstage with her. And so this was like peak Lizzie McGuire, like movie. Everyone loved her. All my friends entered. I think the entire nation entered. And I made my mom go to Walmart because she had a capsule collection with Walmart. Hillary Duff did. So I got the outfits. I made my mom like do my hair style. I styled a photo shoot in our living room.
Of course you did.
Yeah. So this was like also my like early foray into marketing, I think too. I was like, mom, like camera here. We're going to do like the poses, everything. So I made her do all that. We go to FedEx Kinko's. We print it out on laminated paper. I take a Sharpie. I autograph it like Rainey Lancaster, AKA Hillary Duff, like sent her a note. I'm like, you will not find like anyone else who is a bigger fan, like a bigger like XYZ, just all of these things. But I really just like put the work into this brand campaign for myself for this competition. And my older brother, I will never forget, looked at me and he was like, "You are so stupid. Like this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for you. This is embarrassing for all of us. Like, we don't know what you're doing." And I submitted it and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot my shot. And then I waited like 2 or 3 months. And I remember I was in New York City with my mom and she gets a phone call. I didn't have a cell phone then. And they're like, "Is this the parents of Rainey Lancaster?" And she was like, "Yeah." And then she like looks in the other room. They're like, "Can we speak with her?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she hands me the phone. It's like, "Rainey, this is the Hillary Duff fan club. Like, we'd like to tell you you won. Like, you won the national Hillary Duff contest, lookalike contest." And I was like, "Of course I did." Like, I wasn't even, it was like so funny because I feel like I've often struggled with like anxiety and self-doubt. And I always think back to this moment. I was so confident. I was like, I am going to win this. Like, I don't care what it takes. I am going to win this. My brother is wrong. So my brother was not with us. So I talked and I got tickets to her show in Jacksonville, Florida. Ended up getting to spend the day like backstage with her and stuff. But after I got that phone call, my brother wasn't with us. And I was like, "Mom, hand me the phone, dial Chad." Dialed my brother and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, guess who just won? Like, lookalike contest." So again, long-winded story, but I always think back to that moment and it's like, 9-year-old Rainey, like I feel like would be proud of me right now, because it's like, just listen to your gut, listen to what you want to do. Don't care what other people think, don't compare yourself to others because there are probably so many other people in the space, obviously in the fashion lifestyle space and the entertainment space. You're always going to have competition. You're always going to have people doing the same thing. And it's just, do your thing and do it with conviction. And that is what I did. And it paid off for me then. That is today, to this day, my fun fact. And to this day, like I'm still obsessed with her. I think I've never met her in a non like stalker creepy setting like that. And I'm a little afraid. Like I know she lives in LA. I'm like, what if I run into her? Like, do I tell her? Do I not? But yeah, that's, I think the story I always think of, and like my family loves to joke about that one too, because it's just like I knew what I wanted, I went for it, and sometimes I forget about her and I get lost in my own thoughts, and my insecurities take over like anyone else,
Mhm.
and I think I always have to come back to that moment and think about that, and just keep trucking along and doing my thing. So yes,
There's
long story. Sorry for that, but it's a funny one.
It was amazing. Please share more stories like that. There's so many things about that story that I am just over here getting more and more excited about
Yeah.
because it is such an example of just going all in. Like if
Yeah.
you go all in, because you were never thinking I wasn't gonna win. So like, all right, so I'm going to win.
No.
So to win, I have to do all these things. And the fact that you were put your blinders on and just told everyone what to do. You told your mom, we're doing this. Like
Yeah.
when you're in that space, whether you're 9 or 49, people tend to be like, okay, like they just make room.
Yeah.
And I do also love getting to tell someone that they were wrong. That's one of my favorite things of like, see, you said I couldn't
Yeah.
do it and I did anyway.
Especially when it's your older brother, that like to me, and I'm so close with my older brothers. They're identical twins, but one of the twins, he always kind of like, dug
Mhm.
into me, which he claims was pushing me to be a better version of myself, which like probably worked. Um, but yeah, wow, God, that moment was pretty good. Just being right. And just like knowing that you were
Mhm.
right the whole time.
Well, and people will often ask, like, how do you get confidence? Or what's the difference between what you're feeling versus what you know? How would you answer that?
I think it's so hard. I think confidence comes ultimately from doing what you love. I think when I
Mhm.
feel the most insecure is when I'm doing something that maybe I don't feel is like right for me, or I'm not, completely obsessed with the idea, or like I really trust my gut. I've always feel like I've had a good gut, whether it's about people or projects or, things I'm doing and stuff. And when my gut's not there, that's when the insecurity comes. So I feel like just trusting your gut and knowing, what you love and what you're passionate about. And I think the confidence will fall after that, right?
Mhm.
And obviously, I still have my days of not feeling confident doing something I love. I think sometimes you get into that mentality of comparison, which strips away. I think a creator Tanks. Do you know the creator Tanks? She has this
Mhm.
phrase that's like comparison is the thief of joy, and
Yep.
it always stuck with me because it's so true. It's like you
Mhm.
compare yourself to others in the same space, and you'll just be stripped of your confidence and your happiness in doing what you love. So I really try not to do that. So trust my gut
Mhm.
and strive not to compare myself with others. Yeah.
We asked everyone on the podcast where you put yourself on the powerful ladies scale. If 0 is average everyday human and 10 is the most powerful lady you can imagine, where would you rank yourself today and on an average day?
Whew. Today, I don't know. Talking to you, I always feel more powerful, a more powerful version of myself. So probably a 7, maybe, because I'm doing this. I am doing my full time career right now, and I'm really excited about what I have coming this summer. A lot of great, exciting collaborations coming up and pop ups, and the launch of larger endeavors and so forth. So I'm feeling very, very confident and powerful today. And then, so 7 today. And then average day, maybe a 5. I think I generally feel confident and powerful in myself. But, again, some days you have off days and some days you have on days. So teetering between a 5 and a 7, typically. Yeah.
We've also been asking everyone this year, what do you need? What are you trying to manifest? How can we help? This is a powerful, connected community. You never know who has the next key that you need to unlock. So what do you need? How can we help you?
Wow. What do I need? For me, I think the most beneficial thing for me has been connecting with other females in the space, right? So just learning from them, having those conversations. And I think that's been something that you have been so helpful with, is connecting. It doesn't have to be in the same space, but it's just like-minded women and building that network and, setting up those girl dates like we talked about in the beginning. And, just learning from their experience and getting their advice for how I can improve my own business and my own personal brand, right?
Well, I'm really excited for your brand to launch. Technically, your brand already exists in the Instagram space, but I'm excited for it to exist in its own website platform where we can all get involved. I'm someone who, my weakness is I default to practicality. I default to doing. And a lot of feedback I've gotten over my career has been to remember to show up as powerful as I am. And it's been a really interesting journey for me because my mother is like mega practical. If it's amazing, like how that's the default. And I've always loved fashion. I worked in it for a long time, and I will sacrifice the things that bring me joy that you talk about because I'm like, oh no, we just need to get more done, or I need to get one more call in, or I need to help a client.
Yeah.
And I love your brand for the sense of reminding us to have beauty every day for ourselves, and it really doesn't take that much time to choose the more fun, the more beautiful, the more joy-filled option versus not.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to have regular reminders from you about how to do it and how to do it with ease, because that's what I find so impressive with you is that you do all of these things, show up looking amazing every time, and you're just relaxed about it. I'm like, okay, I just want to follow you around for one day and be like, what's actually happening? Like, what are these steps that I'm missing?
Very, very sweet. That was very sweet because you don't see all the behind the scenes, but I do find joy and honestly like relaxation sometimes in that process too, and making things beautiful. And again, like I really want to emphasize, like everyone has their own definition of beautiful, and what brings them light and happiness and so forth. So I'm just trying to do my small part and helping people find out what that is for them.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thank you so much for taking time today to hang out with me, to share your story.
Thank you so much.
For everyone who wants to follow you, support you, work with you, where are all the places they can go?
Yeah, so right now my Instagram would be the main place at Rainey Lancaster. So it's Rainey Lancaster. And, I have a link in bio there with all my various links. And we'll be launching, the site and newsletter soon. So more to come.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I can't wait to see what's happening. And I'm excited to see all of this come to life. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All the links to connect with Rainey are in our show notes at thepowerfulladies.com. Please subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening and leave us a rating and review. Come join us on Instagram at Powerful Ladies. And if you're looking to connect directly with me, visit karaduffy.com or Kara_Duffy on Instagram. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, I hope you're taking on being powerful in your life. Go be awesome and up to something you love.